Very good afternoon. It's Thursday, the 8th of June. It's just after 1 o'clock, and you're watching the Lite Bite Lunch. My guest today is Jill Poet, who's the chairperson of the Organisation for Responsible Business. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and join us for a chat for the next half an hour. Good afternoon. Yes, indeed. Good afternoon. This is indeed the Lite Bite Lunch. And as I said, our guest today, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Jill Poet from the Organisation for Responsible Business. So before we get into chatting properly, Jill, for those who don't know you, who haven't seen you when you joined us before, perhaps you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely, Rory, and it's lovely to be here with you today. I'm Jill Poet, as Rory said. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the Organisation for Responsible Businesses. My background is actually management accountancy, and I did that for 40 years, working with predominantly micro and small businesses, either with them, for them, or as one myself, and really got a good insight into what makes small businesses tick and how important they are. So that's my background. We launched the Organisation for Responsible Businesses in 2010, and we describe it as a movement for a better way of doing business, one that's good for business, but also good for people and the environment.
Great, thank you. I think that sums it up really, really well. So how was it you came about being a micro advocate?
Well, the very first year of my working life, which was an awful long time ago, was in one of the main banks, high street banks in the City of London. And it was in the days where a bank manager then was very remote, big office, big chair, big desk. And I just hated that whole corporate environment. And I did have children quite young, but I went back to work as well, and spent the rest of my life working with small businesses, which I just love being with small businesses, and especially those micro businesses that are starting something up from scratch and have every admiration. We've both done it ourselves. We know what it takes to run, to get a business started. So, and you look at the percentages of micro businesses against anything else, private businesses, whether we were talking about UK or Ireland, and it's absolutely huge. They're not supported enough. They're not respected enough, and what they bring to their local communities is absolutely huge. So, absolutely a huge supporter. I'm a founder member of the Micro Business Alliance that we have in the UK, and sit on the committee for that. So really driving that agenda to make sure we get micro businesses get a lot more support than they have done previously, and recognition.
And in that regard, what support would you like to see introduced? I mean, I know the wish list could go on for pages and pages and pages, but in the immediate short term, what are the supports that businesses are crying out for?
I think if we just go back a little bit, what happened during COVID absolutely epitomises the support that small businesses, startups, very early stage micros didn't get. So it's really important to make sure that if we have those shocks, they get more support. I think one of the things that we find here in the UK is that when there's talk about small businesses, it's generally the bigger end of small and medium that they're talking about.
Yes.
And they talk about Scale Up Britain and growth, and quite often there is support available, but you maybe have to have a minimum of 4 employees, or you have to be committed to growth. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that. But actually, there is also nothing wrong with just saying, as a sole proprietor, whether you want to grow or not. And a lot of sole proprietors actually work very collaboratively with other small businesses, with other micro businesses. So although from a legal format, it might just be them, if you look at the people that are involved in that particular business, it might be, 5, 10, 20, or even more.
Absolutely.
So this whole thing about businesses need to grow and you don't get any support unless you've got X number of people, it's just wrong, just so wrong.
Yeah, well, again, unfortunately here, a lot of the supports that exist are on the basis of, well, you pay out for them, then we will review your case, and if you qualify, we will refund you a portion of that.
Ouch.
The reality is, if small businesses had the money there to pay it out in the beginning, and then had the amount of time required to go through the process to apply for these supports, they wouldn't actually need the additional funding. Like, they're applying for these and they're putting the man hours into applying for these because they physically can't afford to do this growth on their own. So it makes absolute sense what you're saying is, and like that, there's much the same thing. Must have minimum amount of employees, must have minimum amount of turnover, etc. And as you and I both know, there are micro businesses out there who are run on an absolute shoestring, doing a turnover of a very small amount and just getting just about enough to live on, right? And they're quite happy like that because they have enough coming in to live on. And if with a little bit of support, these businesses could absolutely bloom. But there's so much, it's almost like there's an objection to helping a micro business grow. It's all about small, medium, international, and let's keep pumping money at this and get the international investment, etc. When the small business are actually bringing so much to the community, they're the first ones to go out and support when communities are having an event or whatnot. And it really is versatile. I think it's exactly the same. And it's a very clear similarity between UK and Ireland.
Yeah, it's really sad because the potential to make the communities and the world a better place is really dependent on those micro businesses, and the governments just don't see it, don't appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, one of the main reasons I wanted to bring you on today, you have written a wonderful book which will be hitting the shelves very soon. I don't think it's quite available yet on Amazon, is it?
It's not available on Amazon. I've got copies that I can sell if I wish to, but it's not available on Amazon. So that will be the end of September, and hopefully then it will also be both a Kindle option as well as the paperback.
Right. Well, if you have a copy of the book there, you can actually show people.
I have indeed. There it is. It really is just good business. And it's the art of operating a responsible, ethical, and profitable business. And they do actually all go together. People think that, the old school way of doing business was that it has to be one or the other. And that's just not true. And I would say in today's society, more than ever, if you're not operating as an ethical business and caring about people and caring about the environment, you're going to lose business. It's the way forward. And the book is written in a very conversational way. It's written for those micro and small businesses. So it's not academic. It's not theoretical in any shape or form.
Let's call it exactly as it is. It is not loaded with accountancy speak and loaded down with jargon. It's put in simple, plain English that you can read it. And one of the nice things about it is it's a book you can pick up. You can read a little bit of, you can put it down again and come back to it a couple of days later, pick it up and pick up exactly where you were and carry on with it. So in that sense, it's like it is a wonderful, wonderful tool. And it's something personally I would actually like to see some of the enterprise boards doing the startup courses and that type of thing, putting as a recommended reading, because I think it really does. It has a lot of benefit. And again,
Thank you, Rory.
I would mention that you are joining us at the Micro Business Awards in Wexford this year. So if anyone would like a signed copy, I'm sure you'd be more than happy if they get in touch with you. You'd be more than happy to make arrangements to bring a copy to Wexford with you.
Yeah, absolutely, Rory. Yes, more than happy. So it will be good to be able to get it across to Ireland and get people having a copy at it. And it will be at a better price than the existing price on Amazon, I have to say.
Absolutely. Now, Jill, health-wise, you've had a recent brush with COVID, and we're delighted to see you out the other side of it, both yourself and Mike, of course.
Thanks, Rory. Yeah, we managed to avoid it for 3 years, and then it caught up with us both. It was Mike's fault. He obviously picked it up when he'd gone to a meeting in London and gave it to me. But I was incredibly lucky. I really only suffered for a couple of days, where I had what was like a major headache flu on steroids. And then pretty much just left a few things like loss of smell and bad taste in my mouth, things like that. Mike struggled a bit more than me, but actually no major complications. So as we are in that older generation where you do tend to worry a bit more, we've been very lucky. So we're fine now. Thank you, Rory.
Good. Well, I just see there, Maggie Geraghty has just made a comment there to congratulate you on the publication. There's a huge amount of work to get to that point, and best of luck with the sales on it.
Thank you, Maggie. That's very kind of you.
Right. Maggie is actually who does our search for the Micro Business Awards each year. You may have met her at last year's awards.
I quite possibly did. I struggle to remember all the different people, but
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully we met and had a chat then, and hopefully we'll meet again this year.
Yes, absolutely. Now, as you know, one of the questions we ask every guest when they come on, and sometimes they give the same answer, sometimes it has changed a bit. What for you is your ideal light bite lunch when the weather is like it is today?
Well, when the weather's like it is today, it's got to be outside, hasn't it, Rory?
Yes.
Yeah, and we love it. I work from a home office, and we have a lovely garden. So I love my garden. It's a bit hard to come back into the office, I have to say. But we're a bit strange. We don't have lunch as such. We do this late breakfast thing, which is normally about 11ish, 10:30, 11. And so we'll sit outside if the weather's nice enough on a day like this. And it's a bowl of muesli with lots of other bits of it thrown in it. So raw cacao and blueberries and flaxseed and yogurt and kefir and all sorts of nice, tasty and healthy things. And then we'll follow that with toast and coffee. And then that will be it until our dinner. And it's quite strange because we've been away where we've had, the whole big breakfast thing, which I quite enjoy, but actually we really do prefer our normal breakfast.
Well, and again, quite often that's the case, the routine that works for you. I mean, it's the same. After our show today, I'll slip home. We tend to have our main meal in the middle of the day and then just something light of an evening, but that's what works for us. And for everyone, it can be so different what it is works for them, but no, absolutely. Now,
yeah.
Your work with the Organisation for Responsible Businesses is outstanding.
Thank you.
And having got involved last year, becoming a member, and having now joined the board as well, wanted to talk a little bit about why businesses should join and the work the organization does. And for anyone that is interested, I'll actually just put up there across the bottom of the screen, there is the email address to go and find out more about it, because Irish members are now welcome on condition that you do qualify for membership. So I'll let you explain, Jill, about the organisation and what the ethos is and why people should join.
Thank you, Rory. And yes, we are very keen to, we've opened the doors to Ireland, and we're very keen to some of you lovely micro and small businesses to join us. And as I said earlier on, it's a movement for a better way of doing business. So why join? If you care about people and the environment, and many people do, we're stronger together. So if we have that stronger voice together, and where we can show that doing the right things is just good business, as my book says, it really is just good business. So it's that movement, and it's about being stronger together. Now, it's quite strange because I'm an accountant by background, so I'm very much aware that small businesses need to know what's in it for me. And I tend to want them to join because they want to be part of that movement. But of course, there is something for them in that. There is a process for membership. So that robustness adds to the value of what you get. It's not onerous, but there's a little online self-assessment questionnaire. You make a pledge to always consider people and the environment and try to make a positive societal impact. And then we'll have a Zoom interview. And that's to make sure that values are aligned, because we're not naive. We're very much aware that there will be people out there that will tick boxes because they'd like to use that responsible business member logo. So we do go through that process. And as I say, it's not onerous. Once you're a member, obviously you can use the logo and you get a certificate. Just having that alone is a good thing. You also go in our responsible business directory, and we shout out about our members all the time. So it's very much, if someone wants to find a responsible business that does X, Y, or whatever, they can find you in our directory, or they might see it in the, the marketing that we do. So it's a very powerful addition to be able to say to people, to put that logo on there and to say, these are the values that we hold dear. We are part of that movement. And it gives people the opportunity to be able to buy those business goods and services from you, knowing that they are buying from values-based businesses.
Absolutely. I think, again, at this point, we should mention of the Pay in 30 Days campaign, which I think is so important for micro businesses in this day and age.
It is, and it's actually one of the questions. So I'm not going to tell people what they have to answer, but obviously so many micro and small businesses that are in a supply chain with bigger businesses suffer because of bad payment terms. They might either be late payments, or it might actually be part of the contract that is 60, 90, or even 120 days. And the campaign, which is a big part of what the Micro Alliance is doing, is trying to get government to put some pressure on for the bigger businesses to make sure that it's no longer optional to pay in 30 days, that they have to pay their suppliers, their suppliers in 30 days, because micro businesses just have not got the cash flow to wait more than 30 days. I mean, if an employee wasn't paid monthly when they should be, there'd be outrage. Absolutely. So why would you expect a micro business, a small business, to wait? So it's a very important part of that campaign. And it is actually one of the things that, and it's got to go two ways, because if we want to get paid properly by the bigger businesses, clearly that is a value that we need to embed in our own business when we're paying people that we buy goods and services from. So we'll also ask within that question, what your payment policies are. We accept, of course, that there are circumstances with small businesses where maybe because you're waiting for payment from someone else, that you might want to pay on time and you're a little bit late. But the thing we always say is talk to your supplier, let them know the situation and work with them.
Absolutely. It is now time, just of course, just to make mention about this. Jill will indeed be joining us at this year's Micro Business Awards, and the finals are being held on October 21st in the wonderful surroundings of the Clayton Whites Hotel in Wexford Town. There are still a few tickets left if people would like to attend. All you need to do is drop an email to microbusinessawards@gmail.com with the subject line of tickets, with how many tickets you would like. We will then email you back your invoice with your payment notification to make the payment. Once the payment is received, you will get your email back then confirming that your payment has been received, and at that stage you'll be asked if you would like to be named on the list of attendees that will be released beforehand. I can tell you that all the finalist submissions have been received, so the good news for you, Jill, as one of the judges, is in the next couple of days you'll be getting your finalist submissions out to have a look over and review, and then all the winners will be announced on the night. Again, Conor Bannon Bespoke Crafts have made some absolutely stunning trophies for us this year. Maggie Geraghty from Calligraphy has again done the certificates, and as Maggie is a finalist this year, the categories she's a finalist in, the certificates won't be done until after the fact, so on the night it'll be as much of a surprise to Maggie if she happens to be in those categories. We're keeping it, everything has been kept very tightly sealed up, so it is going to be a great night. And if anyone would like to come along, again, the email address is microbusinessawards@gmail.com. Or, of course, you can contact us here through the Lite Bite Lunch, and we'll certainly pass the information on as well, because, as I said, it is a night out, and it's a great night. It's very relaxed, and it's wonderful to spend time with like-minded businesses. So, Jill, if we can just then move quickly switch over to the Micro Business Alliance. How can people here in Ireland help with the UK Micro Business Alliance? Is it something that show what solutions have been provided here? I mean, we were very, very lucky during COVID with the supports the government gave us. Now, as with all these things, as quickly as they gave it, in the years that followed, the taxman has come and said, now I'm going to take it back. But that's okay. That's the nature of business. But at least the supports were there. So, I mean, is there anything that Irish businesses watching this today can do to help with the work of the Alliance or with the Organisation for Responsible Business, other than, of course, taking up membership? I mean, would you like them shouting about it on their own pages? Would you? What is it they can do?
Yeah, I think anyone anywhere across the world that can shout about the value of micro businesses, whether that's because you're a micro business yourself, or you've got micro businesses in your supply chain, or your core client base is micro businesses. It's just important to get that message out there. So anyone that wants to join in that conversation, I think will be absolutely great. And of course, if you've got bigger companies in Ireland that have got UK-based micro businesses in their supply chain, then that will be particularly important for them to add that voice to the campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's next for you?
Well, I've mentioned membership, and that's the core of what we do at Orb. But we do also have, and have had since 2011, something called the Responsible Business Standard, which is an auditable certification. It's very broad, very comprehensive, very robust. It's essentially an online process, although there is a visit involved for businesses that have 5 or more employees. So our big campaign for this year and onwards is actually driving that responsible business standard forward, because it's different to anything else that's out there. It's designed very specifically for small businesses. So the sections that are included are workplace, environment, marketplace, community, ethics, values and transparency, and business processes. It's what, ironically enough, is now known as ESG, environmental, social and governance. That label wasn't around when we launched the Responsible Business Standard, but it's the very principles that we believe are the foundation of a good business.
Yeah, absolutely. And if people want to order copies of the book off you, or want to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to make contact with you?
If they go to the org website that you've got at the bottom of the screen scrolling across, and to the contact us page, if you drop a line to that email, that will come across to me and I will get back to you.
That's great. Well, we're slightly ahead of time, which makes quite a change, because quite often I have Cheryl screaming at me in my ear to hurry up and finish up. We're talking too much. So I would say thank you so much for joining us today. Can't wait to meet up again, and we'll sit down and enjoy a glass of wine in October when you're over. We will be back in 2 weeks' time. We'll have another guest. We'll have more suggestions for how things can improve for micro businesses. And until then, I'll bid you all a very good afternoon.
Bye-bye, Rob.